Ah, moral consistency. It is a wonderful thing to have, especially when you can point out someone else's inconsistencies. If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not consistency, I am become a sounding brass or clanging cymbal. Normethians 1:13. When arguing online, it is important to notice the inconsistencies of others and point them out, because it allows you to call them hypocrites, and thus ends the argument. It will be morally righteous to dismiss the hypocrite's viewpoint with no concern or consideration. It would, in fact, be a moral obligation to dismiss them out of hand. Using the word hypocrite does not really prove you right, but it does automatically prove your opposition wrong. It's like a conversational cheat code. It's really useful in situations like this, when fearsome warriors break into forbidden buildings. I can only imagine the terror felt by those inside when these monsters came through the door. Now, I can make light of it, but the fact is that I've walked the world for more than 4 decades now, and I have never seen this. And that's why everyone is talking about it. I've seen a lot of people condemn this activity, and I do not. My official position on the storming of the Capitol is this: I do not condone it, and I would not have done it. However, I will not condemn it or disavow it. So, how can I live with myself? I now lack consistency. I am a hypocrite. I've seen plenty of commentary online that tells me so. The despair and disappointment consumes people, especially the lack of consistency. Many people have found extraordinary internet joy in comparing the Capitol incident with last year's street riots. There are people who condemn one and decline to condemn the other, and obviously they are all hypocrites. It does not matter if you supported the riots and condemned the Capitol incident, or if you condemned the riots and will not do the same for the Capitol incident. They are clearly the same thing, and that means that everyone is a hypocrite, except for those few blessed souls who have voiced their moral superiority over the hypocrites of both sides. You should denounce all violence of all kinds to avoid hypocrisy. Then again, I suppose you could support all violence to avoid hypocrisy. The thing is, I am not a hypocrite, and I will explain why. I have condemned violent street riots on more than one occasion, and I will continue to do so. I do not condemn the storming of the Capitol building. How can this be? If one is violent and the other is violent, then I clearly lack moral consistency. Then again, when I look at this and this, I see a difference. In fact, I would say that the difference is pretty self-evident. Maybe it's not so evident to everyone. Is kicking in a door and interrupting a congressional proceeding the same thing as burning down buildings, looting stores, and killing people on multiple occasions? No, it is not. If it is different, can you still condemn the Capitol building incident? Well, yes. It is completely legitimate to condemn the actions of those who stormed the Capitol. So let me make that clear. I am not demanding that anyone defend it or even just accept it. But this is not the same thing as this. It's not just the methods and results either. It is also the motives. Someone was killed unjustly. So we should burn down buildings and beat the crap out of people. Stealing and looting will also help. And we should do all of that at random. The presidential election is highly suspect, and there has been no significant investigation of any kind. The courts have refused to hear any substantial case about it. So I will take my protest directly to the people I have a grievance with at exactly the time they are committing what may be a grand fraud on the American people. I find fault in the comparison. I certainly find fault in the application of hard, unbending rules that take no circumstance or motive into account. I will not condemn the storming of the Capitol building. And you can tell me that you think I'm wrong. You can tell me that I have a warped perspective or screwy values. But if you tell me that I'm being a hypocrite, then I'm going to get pissed. It is not the difference in our opinions that bothers me. It is the accusation of hypocrisy and the false comparison of the situations that bothers me. Let's indulge in a completely unrelated hypothetical. 2 factories have been smashed up by workers. And for the sake of clarity, this factory example is not a metaphor for any other situation. Neither factory story is intended to depict any real group or action. It is purely hypothetical to illustrate a potential difference in judgment. If I hear 2 stories about mobs of factory workers who burst into their factory and smash the place up, then I'll think both are a bunch of violent thugs. If I hear that one group did it because they are demanding a major wage increase, even though their wages are near the top of their field already, I'll know I was right about them. But if I hear that the other mob did it because over a half-dozen deaths have occurred in 4 months, and the owners have refused to improve hazardous working conditions, then that is something different. I probably would not condemn the workers in that second story. I might possibly even support them. 2 groups, both using violence and destruction, but they are judged differently in my eyes. The motives behind an action, even a criminal action, make a difference. And that difference exists for both myself and my opposition. And that is where you're going to find my consistency. Suppose someone is a supporter of Black Lives Matter. Now suppose that this person has never denounced violence at the hands of Black Lives Matter and will not. Suppose that this Black Lives Matter supporter does loudly denounce the Capitol building incident. Doesn't it make that person a hypocrite? Well, it really might, because for some of them, it really is nothing more than an immediate, reflexive judgment. Some of them, though, measure it before coming to that conclusion. If someone holds opinion A, Black Lives Matter violence is acceptable, and opinion B, the Trump supporters at the Capitol were violent thugs, it does not automatically make them a hypocrite. It is a matter of values. If you believe that the riots in the streets were really uprisings validated by the imbalance of racial justice in the nation, and you also believe that the 2020 election was genuinely won by Joe Biden, then I will not label you a hypocrite for defending Black Lives Matter violence while denouncing Trump supporter violence. Now, if you do believe that, I will call you narrow-minded, delusional, juvenile, uninformed, and possibly immoral, but not hypocritical. And there is my moral consistency. The same standard I set for myself is applied even to my opposition. Hypocrisy is not inherent to all supporters of Black Lives Matter violence. Does that really make a practical difference, though? Well, yes. You see, if I can demonstrate hypocrisy, then I show you that the Black Lives Matter supporter doesn't really believe what he says. But if I call him all of these things, then I don't have that quick victory. Either you already agree with me about the Black Lives Matter supporter, or I have to convince you that I'm right about him. My judgment of him is based on his values and mine, not on some booby trap or technicality. I don't want some easy gotcha moment. I do not need to demonstrate my consistency with a flourish. I would rather express real opinions and hear real opinions. I want to change minds when possible, or possibly even have my own mind changed.